Hey, y'all from Tennessee. Welcome to the State and Beal podcast. This is the place where we celebrate Tennessee, the volunteer state, the Big Bend state, the hog and hominy state. On this show, we love Tennessee from State Street in Bristol to Beale Street in Memphis, with apologies to Mountain City. My name is Toby Sells. I'm the host, producer, proprietor, farmhand, and bottle washer over here at State and Beal. If you haven't seen it yet, the first issue of our magazine is on the digital stands right now. And boy, let me just take a second here. I am so dang proud of this thing. It took a ton of work, but I really loved it all. And this one, the first one, was all me. I found the stories, reported them, wrote them, found the photos to them, designed the ads, and designed the whole thing. Truly just learning so much and just pushing. And I ain't bragging, I'm just saying. And I bring it up really because the response I've had to the magazine has made it worth it all. All the congratulations feel so wonderful. Thank you so much. I really get a charge, though, from those folks who might not know me so well, but appreciate the fact that there's a single place that celebrates all of Tennessee. That's exactly what I'm going for. So thank you all so much. Hey now, our friends over in East Tennessee are having a tough time. And boy, that is putting it lightly. I cannot even imagine what they are going through right now, still going through. Some counties don't even have running water this week. It sounds simple, maybe, but you start thinking about what that means on the day-to-day, maybe with no water, no electricity. It's just so rough. But if you want to help, head over to the East Tennessee Foundation at easttennesseefoundation.org. They have a Hurricane Helene Disaster Relief Fund set up through their Neighbor to Neighbor program. Form for this fund pops up as soon as you pull up the foundation website, so it's super easy. And that form says, exclusively aiding East Tennessee, this fund provides prompt and effective grants to empower local nonprofits and agencies to rescue and recover their own communities amid devastating impacts from Hurricane Helene. It supports survivors and recovery for the East Tennessee community. Hey, y'all head over there today, make a donation, and help out our fellow Tennesseans. Let's take care of each other, y'all. On the show today is my interview with Drew Holcomb, the Memphis-born musician, graduated from UT Knoxville and now lives in Nashville. Some friends at the tap room suggested we call this, giving him the 3-star award for living in each grand division. I called him a true Tennessean in the magazine, and it all works, but 3-star award, I like that. Holcomb's song Tennessee is a modern-day Tennessee anthem, and I'll go ahead and put it up there with Rocky Top. All right, that's a hot take, but it's an amazing song. If you haven't heard it, head to your favorite platform, hit Tennessee by Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors, and if you love Tennessee, bring a tissue. Holcomb and his band, The Neighbors, are out on tour right now, supporting the second volume of their new album, Strangers No More. The first volume hit #1 on the Americana charts and kept them super busy. And if you've ever heard the songs from the album Find Your People and Dance with Everybody, you'll know why it charted so well. Hey, big thanks again to Sue Marcus and Anna, who got me and Drew hooked up on the phone that day early last month. It was a thrill, and you'll hear that in my voice in the interview. And as I say, my editor's note in the story in the magazine, I say, I'm a news guy, which is true. And I talk to policy nerds mostly, so I was nervous about talking with Drew Holcomb. The most famous person I'd ever interviewed was bluegrass icon Del McCoury, and that was way early in my journalism career. I think I was about 19 when I talked to Del McCoury. And now Del was super nice about it, but he let me know in the most southern way possible that he needed to go to get off the phone with me. I never forgot that. So when Drew Holcomb's amazing publicist, Sue Marcus, agreed to hook us up for this story, I heard Del's kind but still kind of frustrated sighs in my ears once more. And I vowed I wouldn't do that to Drew, and I didn't. I kept my 10-minute interview tight and to the point. He was a busy guy after all, and I think that's a fact that I nervously repeated about a dozen times in those 10 minutes. And Drew was super nice about it. And of course he was, because he's Drew Holcomb. Anyway, thanks again to Sue, Drew, and Anna. Y'all made it great. Thanks so much, and good luck out there. All right, here is my conversation with Drew Holcomb. Enjoy. Well, like I said, you're a busy guy. You've got a tour that kicks off September 14th in Annapolis, Maryland. That'll take y'all to Connecticut, to Dallas, to Tybee Island, and then back to Memphis and Nashville for y'all's big Christmas shows. So, of course, and then your record, Strangers No More, was released last year. It's the ninth album you've released with your band, The Neighbors. But then you have the second volume of Strangers No More coming out this week on Thursday, September 12th. Maybe that's a great place to start. Tell me about these records and the response you've had to the first volume.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a really fruitful and busy and exhausting and good couple of years of touring and making music and basically coming out of the pandemic. I wrote just a pile of songs, and so in the summer of 22, I went to Asheville with my band, The Neighbors, and we recorded like 30 songs. And um, kind of by the middle of winter, beginning of 23, I realized we had more than one record. And so, we just decided to basically sort of build out two records from that pile of songs. And the first one, Volume 1, has been really well received. We had our first number one song on Americana radio. We played the Macy's Parade. We got to do Jimmy Kimmel, and just all sorts of fun stuff that makes it feel like the work was worth doing. So that's been really great. We did a lot of touring on that record as well, and this one's coming out now, and so really just more than anything, it just kind of reflects. I've something about this sort of era of my life has been most sort of creatively busy, fruitful. I can't stop writing songs, and so just keep recording them, and keep putting them out as long as people keep listening. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, and how did you separate the tunes out? I mean, the first volume, it's really uplifting, and you've got some other songs too, but there's some bangers on that one. So how did you decide what went on volume two and volume one?
Yeah, I mean, it felt kind of just like a natural progression of what songs sort of went well together. And I think we knew that 5 Year People and Dance with Everybody were sort of songs we couldn't wait on at all. They were just too sort of big, and felt like they needed to be out for the big tour that we did for the record. And, um, I think the second volume is a little bit more of kind of what I would call like a bigger sandbox. You got a song like Easy Together on there, which has sort of the classic 70s soul R&B vibes. And then you've got Souls of Camera, which has got this sort of big kind of indie rock, sort of vibe. So this one was a little bit more, I would say a little bit less rules. And um, just kind of felt like these songs needed to wait and be put together on a second volume. And honestly, it's like part of it's just the mental gymnastics in today's era of trying to figure out how to release music. I mean, you have some artists that'll put out a 25-song record like Morgan Wallen or Taylor
Hmm.
Swift, these big stars. All of a sudden, unannounced, they'll just drop 20 songs into the universe. And then you have other artists that don't put out a record for 5 years, and then you have other artists that put out a song a month. And so, when you have this many songs, you're just trying new things practically. Like how do we get these songs out there? And um, but one of the reasons we waited on this one as well is I had talked to a guy I know pretty well, and most people know pretty well, named Vince Gill, who agreed to play on a song. But getting the schedules lined up took some stars aligning, so he's featured on this song called Green Light. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat these days, and so this is kind of how we spin it up.
Well, I can't wait to hear it. It's going to be amazing. Um, all right, now kind of germane to what I'm doing, just real Tennessee stuff here. Let me see if I get this
Mhm.
correct. You're born in Memphis, you went to school in Knoxville, and you live in Nashville. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
And so, I know you're a big fan of the state of Tennessee, and we'll get to that more in a minute. But I know you travel around a lot. But do you find a lot of other folks with state pride out there, or is that a rarity, or what do you think?
I think there's definitely a lot of places with state pride. I think Tennessee's definitely high up on the list, though. I mean, nobody could ever have. In Texas, there's a fine line between pride and hubris. Um, and the Tennesseans, I think, have sort of the appropriate amount of pride. I mean, the South Carolina folks are pretty proud of their state, and there's a lot of people that have pride in their state. The interesting thing about Tennessee is that it's got such a sort of diversity of culture. You've got, and part of that's the geography difference between a place like Memphis and a place like Knoxville. And yeah, there's just a lot of history here, like especially with music and with food. And there's a lot to be proud of. I think a lot of great people have come from Tennessee. A lot of people that one of the things that I did on this tour, on this last tour in the spring, and I've kind of kept doing it, is every time I play somewhere, I look up and see what musicians are from there, and then I'll try to learn a song that day and play it at the show. And you go to some places like Denver, and there's just like a million
Mhm.
songs you could choose from, songs about Colorado, songs from Colorado artists. And then you go to other places, I won't name any names, where you look and you're like, man, there's not any music that's come out of this place.
Yeah.
I really got to stretch to find it. So, there's a deep well of sort of cultural um, history and from in Tennessee, and yeah, I'm obviously a homer. Like you said, I grew up on one side of the state, went to school in the other, and settled in the middle. So, um, I have pride in all sort of three parts of the state, um, and I've learned too. One of the things we did during COVID was we took this Airstream trip to all those various state parks in
Yeah.
Tennessee that we'd never been to before. And I realized that even though I've been all over the world and I've been all over Tennessee, there's still a lot of places here at home that I've never been. And I was pretty humbled by that experience.
It was amazing. It was a great video series for sure. Um, and that gets me down to the song Tennessee that you did that I just discovered last year because I'm a moron. But man, it gets me. Can you tell me about the writing of that song?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I wrote that song in some of the early years. The song came out 2013, so I probably wrote it around 2011 or 12. And it was a song about really being homesick and being, I at that point in my career, I was gone probably more than 50% of the year out of state. And, I had my wife was out on the road with me at that point, and we didn't have any kids yet, but I was still just every once in a while, the road can really beat you up. You have a show where the crowd doesn't care, or you have a long drive or a car breakdown, or, just life on the road can wear you down. And so I wrote that song just about this dream that I've had of being a sort of, career songwriter artist and the ups and downs of that, and how grateful I am that when I come back here, doesn't matter where I go, doesn't matter how far away I find myself, I still carry that, Tennessee is my home, not just like physically, but kind of, in my soul. So it's just a song about that, an ode to this place that I love. And I found two things to be true about that song. One is that everywhere I go, I meet people from Tennessee who love it when I play that song, and it makes them feel kind of like they're back home. The other thing that I found is that the people who are not from Tennessee love the song because they sort of can put their own place, ask them not to do it out loud and sing. I don't want anybody singing about Ohio while I'm singing about Tennessee, but you can tell, you look out across the crowd and you play that song, that it still resonates as a song about home. It just happens to be it's a song about my home, but the idea of having a home is pretty universal. So it's for whatever reason it translates outside of the state really well.
Absolutely. Well, Drew, again, I know you're a busy guy. You got a lot going on. So that's all I needed. Is there anything we left out or anything you want to add?
Cool. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, one thing I will say that we have found, I always make this joke, especially back home in Memphis, that they say that a prophet is not welcome in his hometown or in his home. And I've said, well, I guess that means I'm not a prophet because Tennessee's been very good to me. We sell more tickets in Tennessee than any other state, so I'm grateful for it, and I appreciate what you do as well.
Thank y'all so much for listening to this episode of State and Bill. This show was written, produced, and hosted by me, Toby Sells. Now, the first issue of State and Beal, our fall issue, is on the digital stands right now. So head on over there and check it out and subscribe. Just go to stateandbeal.com and you can't miss it. And if you subscribe, I'll give your inbox a Tennessee glow up every week, and make sure you don't miss our next issue, the winter issue, coming up in December. And if you want to advertise in the magazine or sponsor this podcast in the meantime, I would love to talk to you. Hit me up at toby@stateandbeal.com. All right, y'all. Thank you so much, and we'll see you back here in Tennessee real soon for some more State and Beal.